Alrighty, welcome to listen to Earnestly Speaking Podcast. I'm your host, Ernest E.J. Christian. We are now entering arguably my favorite part of the year. The NBA playoffs are just a few hours, well, not a few, but 24 hours away. 24 hours, a little more than 24 hours of this, as of this recording. We're recording on Thursday night, just dropping Friday morning. So we're going to do the NBA Awards as well, Earnestly Speaking NBA Awards, again, we do this annually every year, as well as our first round predictions for the NBA playoffs. And of course, joining me every year as he does is the man, Marc Francois. Francois Marc on Twitter.
How we doing?
Marc, what's up, buddy?
That's right. Lots, man. Except for, rough. I was gonna tout my Dodgers because of how awesome the season has started. Just try to immediately detract already from the Laker conversation we have to have.
Well, like I said,
deflection. Deflection. Hey, look over here. Look over here. But then my boys promptly rode their ass kicking that they've been doing through the first 2 weeks of the season into St. Louis and got swept. And my old roommate Jay Goodrich, who hails from St. Louis, he hails from a cow town outside of St. Louis, was all too happy to remind me of how promptly my Dodgers shit the bed this week.
Ouch, a little humbling experience.
Yeah.
What's funny?
No, but today's game was exciting as hell, but no, that was not a good one. They need to come back tomorrow against the Brewers. No rest for the weary. They come right out of a 4-game set on the road and start off a series against the Brewers tomorrow night that I will be there for. And I hope to see them bounce back and drop bombs all night.
Mm-hmm. Here's what's funny, Marc, is that for the last few weeks we've been saying, okay, we knew Lakers out of the playoffs and all that. And we kept saying, okay, well, this will be the end of Lakers talk. This will be the end of Lakers talk. No more Lakers talk until next year. And every time we get past
the Magic was like, hold my beer.
Exactly. What the fuck's going on, man? Magic Johnson retires. Magic Johnson resigns from President Operations.
I was going to say, you can't call that retiring. 2.5 years. Sorry. Not a career, mate.
I mean, and I got to be honest, Marc, and I'll leave this to you more than anything else, because you're the one really in the shit. You know my affinity for Magic Johnson. You know this, right? My all-time favorite athlete of any sport. But I got to be honest with you, man. I'm a little cold on him right now. And this kind of sort of fits a pattern of what he's done with his entire life. He was a head coach of the Lakers for a little while. They lose 10 straight at the end of the year. He quits. He had the Magic show for a little while. Didn't do well. He quits.
I don't think he quit.
Well, you know what I mean.
Clear.
Well, you know what I mean. But it's kind of a pattern here, though. It's a kind of a pattern here. What's going on, Marc? Come on.
No, I think, and I think it's really funny that you bring up the coaching thing. Logistical idiocy notwithstanding, look, he didn't do it the right way. I'm not going to argue that.
No.
I think that Magic was at a place where, and did you have an opportunity? We texted about this in the moments as it was happening. But did you have a chance to go back and listen to more than the Sports Center snippets and really hear some of the conversation?
Very little, not much.
Okay.
I read articles here and there, obviously, but.
Well, look at that, and I get to break news and give one of a kind insight as though I was in the room.
Let's do it.
No, because since I'm in LA, as soon as it was funny because I was watching the Dodger game, I wasn't going to watch the Laker game because I'm like, oh, they're playing Portland, they're going to get their ass beat, and then Luke's going to get fired. I don't need to watch this. And then you texted me, and my girlfriend's brother-in-law texted me at the same time, Magic, what the fuck? Mm-hmm. And so immediately I turned on ESPN radio because I knew whatever was happening in LA, the ESPN affiliate here is the radio broadcaster of the Lakers. So I knew they were gonna be all over this, and it just so happened that it was during the post-game show, and they just cut over to Magic's entire 45-minute conversation with the LA media. And so I got to listen to the whole thing. And so it sounds like, Magic legitimately felt terrible, and say what you will about it. You can make whatever judgment you want, and you'd probably be right. Mm-hmm. But it seems like he was genuinely terrified to face Jeannie and tell her he had to throw in the towel But I think at the end of the day, which, oh God, I can't believe I just used that expression. I think he found himself in a position where he did genuinely despise the day-to-day business of the NBA, of like the box in which you have to live in order to be considered playing by the rules as, you know, a front office executive. I think that's, you know, that, you know, he talked about a couple of different things about like, the whispers and the backbiting and some of the stupidity that exists in the business. And, you know, going back to like being at a court and saying Giannis is a great basketball player and I hope he's going to bring a championship back to Milwaukee. That's tampering. And he's like, but because I have eyes and I said that Giannis is good at basketball? Like, really? You know, some of that kind of stuff really bugged. I got the impression from his conversation really bugged the shit out of him.
He quit because he wanted to tweet. He wanted to tweet.
No, I think I think part of it is the other part of it, the more noble part of it, is that he genuinely cares about Jeannie, the Buss family legacy, and the name on the front of the jersey.
Correct.
And that he was not the best man for the job, given the situation that's in front of them. Because despite the administrative headache that Jeannie Buss is now dealing with, as far as like from a basketball standpoint, the Lakers are in a really good position. They have like 2 rookies and LeBron James under contract, a clear book, and I think 2 or 3 first-round draft picks, and they even, oh, by the way, have a 2% chance of landing Zion. So, you know, like if you are somebody who is a very qualified NBA executive, just looking at the basketball landscape of the challenges that you're taking on, you're in a pretty good situation. You're not walking into an abject like dumpster fire, like say what Brooklyn was.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I think Magic handled it poorly. I think the timing was bad. I think the methodology was bad. I think there are absolutely very reasonable criticisms that can be made that he's throwing in the towel because he wasn't immediately successful. I think there's a lot of things that go into it, and again, when you boil it all down, he realizes how ill-equipped he is and that he's not the best man for the job, and he thought that in order to preserve the integrity and the future of the Lakers, that it was best for him to step aside.
Okay, 3 things I want to unpack here that I took away from this whole situation, and some of you agree with me here. Number 1, Magic Johnson's better as a face of a franchise, not the actual grinder. Number 1.
Well, okay, so he said that himself, so that's 100% a true statement.
Okay.
He said, like, this, you know, basically, this shit drives me nuts. I'm way better off as an ambassador, and my life was awesome before, and I don't need this shit, because I could be an effective ambassador for the league and for the Lakers and not worry about saying somebody is good at basketball and having to pay a $50,000 fine.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
I can be more effective at other, and he said that.
And
He's like, my life was awesome. My businesses were awesome. I was an ambassador for the team and for the NBA before, and I was great at it. So why do I want, what do I want this misery for?
Number 2, I think there's some issues.
Yeah, that was said by him.
Number 2, I think there's issues with him and Rob Pelinka, real serious issues.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, you can. It was funny because today in the on one of the like midday talk shows, Byron Scott was the co-host.
Mm-hmm.
Talks about, and he was kind of like unpacking this point and other things. Is that there's really, you know, everybody in the world knows that, because Magic will be the first one to tell you this in interviews and stuff. Like, there's Magic, who's, you know, the smile and the personality and the ad man and stuff. And then there's Irvin, who's like the businessman who will cut, you know, who's like pretty cutthroat and a tough negotiator and savvy and, you know, all those things. And then Byron goes, but then there's Buck.
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody knows Buck. And Buck is who Magic was before he was Magic. That was like his name on the court. And those of us that played with him for a long time know Buck. And that's a totally different animal. And so he talked about that, and that you know, Buck's not an easy cat to get along with. And
that's right.
And you know, Buck's volatile. But no, Magic said it himself, and he said it as tactfully as anyone could say, yeah, fuck that guy. I mean, really. Like, he asked something, like, it was Jim Hill, who is, for those who are not familiar with the LA sports landscape, if Magic is the emperor of Los Angeles for all time, in the world of LA sports, Jim Hill is probably, like, arguably the hand of the king.
Okay.
He played football at USC. He's been a LA news fixture both for his look, his walk and his talk, his prominence long before black folks were in prominent positions in big market news.
Right.
Like, I mean, he's been a fixture on LA news since the late 70s, early 80s. So, I mean, like, nobody outside of LA would know him, but in a very big town, that dude runs shit.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Like, when you go into a Lakers press room, even if it's the NBA Finals, Game 7, if the Lakers were in the Finals, you better believe Jim Hill's getting the first question. He always got the first question on all the big Kobe moments. It's
Well,
just,
there you go. Yeah.
So there was a point in the conversation where Jim and Magic were just kind of talking. And it was like nobody else was really around. You know, nobody was getting a word in edgewise. It was a good, I'd say it was a good, like, 10 minutes of just Jim and Magic going back and forth.
Right.
And in that conversation, Jim Hill asked him about the relationship with Rob Pelinka. And Magic, I think he kind of slipped. Like, he almost forgot himself for just a split second. And he was like, I don't know, Rob. And he said it like that, kind of in the present tense, and you're like, oh.
I do need to watch the entire interview.
Do tell. And then he kind of like walks it back, and he's like, nah, you know, like, me and Rob, we got put together. You know, I didn't know him before this. Like, sure, I knew him as Kobe's agent, but I didn't know him. Like, so you could see him back through it, and he did it really tactfully. But his knee-jerk reaction was like, I don't know that dude. I mean, he basically was like, yeah, I don't fuck with him.
That being said, the third thing, the last thing I want to unpack.
So that is absolutely a critical element to this.
The third thing I want to unpack.
They never click.
Before we get to the awards, of course, is say what you want. I think Magic did Lakers a favor here.
I do too. He wasn't the best man for the job. That's the simple truth. Yeah. And I love Magic, but you know, here's the thing. The guy who calls the Laker games, who's one of the big radio hosts that I talk about all the time, John Ireland.
Yeah, of course.
He has something he talks about all the time relative to the Lakers. He goes, the head coach and the front office positions in the Lakers are not starter jobs. They're not starter jobs. You don't get to do it for the first time at the Lakers.
Yeah, it's wrong phrase to use, right?
One of the mistakes they made, and you and I have talked about this with Luke, where I said he has the best coaching pedigree of anyone around right now and probably has the highest potential of anybody out there as an NBA coach.
Oh, speaking of which, also, too, by the way, you mentioned Luke, and that was my fourth thing, actually, which I'm throwing in now. I think he survives.
I think it's probably more a state of execution. Because this taking the focus off, like, basically everybody in LA thought, oh shit, this is, well, because John talked about this on the radio the day after Magic quit, so I guess that would have been yesterday, on yesterday's radio show, John Ireland, and he says, you know, normally there's this, like, coaches roundtable as part of the pregame thing, so all the, like, main LA guys kind of gather around Luke, and they sort of have it's like a White House press gaggle, like the unofficial gaggle that a press secretary has with the press corps. Right. And they were all expecting sort of a very abbreviated sort of get in, get out, get on with it thing because Luke was dead man walking. all indications were that he was probably going to get shown out of the building within 5 minutes of the horn. So, and then they had this like really quick thing, their usual, like, he's at the podium and it was sort of bing, bang, boom. And then Magic goes, hey, yeah, so I got to talk to you guys about something. I quit.
I quit.
And and then all of a sudden, like the conversation starts going and immediately like people start realizing what's happening, phones start going off, and within a minute or two, like anyone who's got a press pass is like racing into the room where Magic is, where he's talking. And like even Rondo, like Ireland said he talked to Rondo later after the game, and like Rondo was like, I didn't even know what happened. He was like, I thought maybe LeBron retired or something, because I just saw like all you meaning like the press guys. He's like, I saw all you run into the room, and I couldn't get from the entrance to the locker room through all of you. He's like, I figured LeBron retired or some shit.
I mean, look, it's not a good look from the end of the day, but you know what? He'll survive this. He's Magic Johnson.
No, but look, they need to go out and do this the right way. And now this is really a question of, is Jeannie just really good in a boardroom at negotiating media deals, or is she capable of running the entire empire? Are they going to go out and get a person who is qualified for the job? I don't think Jerry West's name is in consideration, or should be. I don't think he wants to be a full-time GM. He's had that job. He had that job 20 years ago and left that job.
Yeah, he's 81 years old. He's also 81 years old, too, on top of that.
Yeah, I think, I venture to guess his arrangement with the Clippers is whoever the main person is in the, like, Doc or whatever, like, they've got something like 95% baked, and they're ready to take it to Steve Ballmer. And so, but before they do, they just call Jerry. Like, that's what they pay him for. Is so that Doc and whoever else is in his room, they call Jerry before they go to Steve. Because Steve, it's no secret, Steve Ballmer has, like, the final say in everything on the big stuff.
Right, absolutely.
So, I got a feeling they just pick up the phone and call Jerry West and talk to him for 5 minutes and go, okay, so we're trading so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so for Ivica Zubac. You getting Zoo from the Lakers? Yeah, pull that fucking trigger. And that's the end of the call.
Yep. Okay, so let's move on now.
Or, we're going to do this or that. Are you fucking crazy? No.
Are we going to do this now? We're going to do it. NBA Awards.
So we're going to run down the list.
We do it every year. I'll post mine on the website tomorrow. But in the meantime, Mark and I are going to have we're going to go down everything from biggest surprise, biggest disappointment, all the way down to MVP, Coach of the Year, all that. I love this shit, man. And I think by the way, I've done this stuff quite a few times the last, 7 years. By far, the hardest one I've ever done was this year. A lot of new faces here. A lot of new faces to the.
It's funny because I always leave this for right before the show. I do it no more than 6 hours before the show.
Yeah, I sound. And most of the stuff was easy, but I sat on some of these topics. Some of these had to really sleep on a couple of these. At the end of the year.
So I was doing this about 3.5 hours ago, and so but that was after we had talked, and you were kind of in my head that this was going to be hard, and then I started running down the list. I'm like, nah, this is pretty obvious. So I'm excited to hash this out with you because this came really easily to me.
Let's find out now. First off, the biggest surprise. Who's the biggest surprise this year, Mark?
Lakers.
Ooh. Well, I mean, we don't need to explain that.
Yeah, because, all indications were that, the team was on a great trajectory. We signed the best player in the world. Brandon Ingram was going to be better. Kyle Kuzma was going to be better. Lonzo Ball was going to be better. And it didn't just go bad. It went 6 different kinds of bad. It went executive bad, it went coaching bad, it went injury bad, it went press bad, it went locker room distraction bad.
Yeah, but Mark, here's the thing, though.
It's easy to pencil them into biggest disappointment, but I have a different answer for that.
Right, but here's the thing, real quick, on that. LeBron was still LeBron, numbers-wise. Ingram had a pretty good year, for the most part. Kuzma did improve.
Yeah.
So Lonzo was hurt most of the year.
Yeah, that's why, and that's part of it too, but it was all of those things kind of happened on their own little island, and nothing really came together to gel. Because another bright spot, JaVale McGee played his ass off. Played a better, more physical defense than I would have expected from him. Tyson Chandler was a little disappointing. Although I hope maybe his influence was one that wasn't necessarily seen on the floor night to night, but was big in practice as, a quasi coach.
Right. All right.
That maybe he imparted knowledge. I don't know.
All right. My biggest surprise.
Your biggest surprise?
Mine was the Kings, second round Kings. I had them going under.
Okay.
My over-under this year for them was 25. I had them going under. They not only went over the number, they far exceeded that, and they were in the playoff race at least until the middle of March before the rest of the West ran away with it. Well,
and to hear you say that just sort of off the cuff, while he's not my pick, I think you'd be very sane to make an argument under Most Improved for De'Aaron Fox, and
absolutely.
I would even as far as on my list to say honorable mention.
Oh yeah,
he's
definitely
right behind the guy I picked.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And here the Kings doing Kings things. They extend Vlade Divac.
Oh, and if we're talking draft picks, I'm really wishing the Lakers would have taken De'Aaron over Lonzo Ball.
Oh man.
All things being equal.
Oh man. So that being said, Mark, who is the biggest disappointment this year?
Washington.
Yeah.
Not because I had particularly high hopes for them or anything, just because of, frankly, what a heartbreak it is for John Wall to go down the way he did, and for what the long-term outlook of this injury is, which is not very good. And then for the team, the fact that he's in the second year of a supermax and he's got a contract that's going to go up in value and end in a $48 million payday for the next 4 years. It's a completely untradeable boondoggle of a contract that at the time was mildly irresponsible, but not necessarily oh man, there's no way that's going but to hell. You weren't thinking that.
No.
That's probably more than he deserves, but he's the only reason they're relevant, kind of a thank you contract, but fuck, that sucks.
It really does.
Just that whole situation.
Oh, by the way, remember Dwight Howard? Dwight Howard?
Biggest disappointment, Washington.
Remember Dwight Howard's on the team too? Remember that? Jeez.
Who?
That guy. Dwight Howard. That was on the team also. Don't you remember that?
I didn't know he was still in the league.
Yeah, there you go. he was hurt most of the year. So. My biggest disappointment this year was New Orleans Pelicans. I had high hopes for this team. I actually thought last year made the playoffs, won the playoff series. I thought that maybe this is the year that they could actually make a serious push to at least to the top of the West, at least challenge Houston at the very least. This thing went up. This thing fell off his wagon pretty quickly. Anthony Davis, obviously when he was healthy was great, but the trade rumors kind of stopped the entire year. Obviously, injuries killed that team. I mean, I don't know, man. And now with the Davis rumors about him, he won't be there. He's gonna get traded at some point. Whether it's traded or
he's getting traded. Especially with a new GM coming in, you got to trade Anthony Davis. And
this team's on the way out.
You can get somebody to give you some irresponsible draft picks.
And I'll say it again, Mark. I'll say for the millionth time on this podcast in the last few months. This is your future Seattle. This is going to be a future Seattle franchise. Just saying.
New Orleans? Yeah, I think so. I think. Well, if somebody can wrestle them away from the idiot NFL owners who currently occupy the
Benson group, yeah. And that's actually
they run it like an NFL franchise, and they really don't have a fucking
part
clue
of Davis's frustration. Is that that, right? Is the whole they don't feel like the ownership really gives a shit about the team.
What's that?
Part of Davis's frustration part of his frustration with the team is actually the fact that he thinks the ownership does not give a fuck about the team.
Well, yeah, and I've heard a few different things, especially because this got dissected every which way, of course, right up to the trade deadline on all of our local radio, and a lot of the talk from some of the reporters was so much that because they have all these NFL people in here, in their facility, it's that they treat the athletes like NFL players, which is at best condescending, at worst we could go from there. and then like the training staff doesn't manage their injuries and their bodies like an NBA team does. They manage them more like warriors, patching them together, just hold them together for a few weeks and survive the season. But,
right.
Even a New Orleans NFL season is only 20 weeks, and, an NBA season is 35 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Sixth man of the year. This is pretty easy, man. I think the more challenging part actually is who's behind. Who'd you have?
Lou Williams.
So did I. But do you know who I consider put number 2 behind Lou Williams? I'll give you one guess.
No.
Dwayne Wade.
No.
Dwayne Wade.
Okay. Now is that like an award emeritus kind of position?
No. He was really good this year.
I was actually really bummed about it. It was his last home game, and we had Boston and Washington on TNT instead of the Philadelphia-Miami game, and I was actually
he was
fuck
really good.
you, NBA.
He was really,
let me see Dwayne Wade.
He was really good this year.
Okay.
Really good. Like, he was really their best. He was actually their best player this year, honestly, on the team.
Well, and they didn't quite make it in, but they sniffed the playoffs. They were making a push down the stretch there, right?
I mean, they were always in between 6 and 8 most of the year, 6 and 9, should I say? But it is what it is.
And okay.
So, Lou Williams.
But
yes,
no,
I
that's
agree.
an interesting one. I like that.
I had D Wade in the mix. I don't know who else to consider beyond that, but that Lou Williams is a runaway.
Now he's considered a start. He's considered a starter though, just because he begins the game, but then goes back to the bench and spends a good portion of the game there, and probably only plays 28 minutes a night.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't watch enough Clippers games to make that assessment. To be honest, Okay. Rookie of the year. I got another one to be pretty easy. Who'd you have?
Yep, Doncic.
Me too. Although I'll tell you what, Trae Young made it interesting then in the year.
He made a very respectable push, but Doncic was just unreal this year. Yeah. And it was funny because I wasn't really buying into him when he got drafted and stuff, and I had a friend that was super high on it from the beginning of the year and just would not shut up and wouldn't stop sending us highlights. And then I was I watched 3 or 4 of them, and I'm like, oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's the second coming. He's the second coming of Dirk.
Yeah.
Shit. Okay.
Push Dirk retirement.
This kid can play, and then you just watch him all year long, and I'm like, dude, this guy's gnarly. And we'll get back into the first, second, and third teams, but yeah, that's. He pulled away down the stretch on Trae Young. Trae Young had some really nice moments though, some really badass shots, and he is going to be fun as hell to watch, and such a perfect star for a town like Atlanta.
And they needed a guy like Trae Young.
His whole vibe is just dirty South.
They need a guy like Trae Young in that franchise. They'll definitely give him something to look forward to in the near future.
No, he makes him exciting. He makes him kind of nasty, kind of dirty, but so respectable too. He drives people nuts, which is great as long as he's not doing it to the Lakers.
Right. Yeah. All right. Defensive player of the year. We might have some differences on this one. You go first.
I labored over this one and went with an easy choice that is pretty defendable no matter what, and Kawhi.
Wow.
It was kind of between him and a couple other people, and what sealed it for me was the Sam Amick poll, where even though he was regarded as overrated, over 120 players when they voted overwhelmingly said he was the toughest guy.
I saw that, him and Russell Westbrook. Ridiculous. Well,
yeah,
I understand, but not Kawhi.
You could say Giannis, you could say Embiid, you could say probably even Jokic, if you wanted to. Maybe Gobert. I think Rudy Gobert not getting a lot of publicity would be a really respectable pick. But like I said, it was kind of between a handful of guys, and the Sam Amick survey just sort of
I
sealed
thought
it for me.
I thought you might have. I thought you might have won the.
His peers think he's a pain in the ass to have to bring a ball up again, so that splits the vote.
I thought actually you might go Gobert. To be honest, I thought you would go Gobert. I went Giannis.
I was tempted. Okay.
I went Giannis. By the way, he is right now probably the best two-way player in the league. Number one, he's healthy. Kawhi's not.
I'd only maybe make the argument for Klay Thompson as best two-way player.
He might be the best two-way player we've had in the last 10 years, maybe. I mean, this guy not only
plays
the ball, he also blocks shots. You see him block Embiid 4 times last week, 4 times in that game.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
Oh no. Giannis is for real, and if he can take the next evolution forward. Speaking of people who didn't, Ben Simmons. If he can continue to extend his range, if he can become dangerous to deadly from the outside, Giannis is going to be ridiculous.
The only other guy I actually consider was Gobert. Really, I would have put Kawhi in the conversation, but Kawhi missed a lot of time this year. To be honest with you,
he did. But I mean, it sounds like if you could pick any, if you've got to deal with LeBron, James Harden, Paul George, or Kevin Durant, if you poll the coaches in the NBA, I bet you 27 of them are going to say, "I want Kawhi on the ball."
Mm-hmm. All right.
So, that's kind of what did it for me.
Right, makes sense.
But yeah, I mean, Giannis is just a freak.
It's filthy.
Yeah,
filthy.
Absolutely. Filthy.
All right. Most improved player of the year. What did you get?
D'Angelo Russell. Not close.
I like it. I really made it. I'm really actually considered that. I was really thinking of going that route.
Well, you and I talked about this, and it would be really obvious for me to say, "How the fuck did we get rid of him?" He couldn't have done this if he'd stayed in LA. Ship sailed. The bridge was burnt.
I actually think this category is the most competitive of all because there's many guys you can consider. Bogdanovich in Indiana, Buddy Hield.
I mean, it's easy because it's easy to lose to get repetitive or hyperbolic a little bit. But Giannis, he took a huge leap forward last year. I mean, he was a nutball last year, but he still massively improved. He went from good to oh my fucking god, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Ultimately, I went Pascal Siakam in Toronto because, and especially when you consider that Kawhi missed time.
Ooh. And
Toronto still did not miss a beat. They were still relatively the same team. They were still relatively they were number 2 seed in the East in the competitive East.
That's a really good call. That's a really good call.
That guy that guy could be a star. I mean, if they let Kawhi walk this summer, if Kawhi walks this summer, they actually might be okay because of Pascal Siakam.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
Mm-hmm. That would be. I mean, I think personally, if they lose Kawhi, they probably lose Kyle Lowry too. I've talked about that before.
Well, Kyle Lowry, I think Lowry's last year is this next year or this year.
I thought it was this year. He was a free agent.
I'll tell you right now. I wrote an article about his when they resigned him. I wrote an article about this, and I'm not sure if it's this year or next year, but I'll look up in a second.
Maybe he's restricted this year.
Oh no! It's all guaranteed. It's all guaranteed. No clauses, nothing like that of the sort.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I can't, for whatever reason, I've had it I don't know why I thought this.
No, it was a 3-year deal. That's why. It was a 3-year, $90-something million deal. I remember writing about this a couple of years ago on my blog. I'm looking it up right now, actually, so I can tell you exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, hold on. I think I got it right here.
But while we're talking about that, it takes us right into my pick for the next category, which is Executive of the Year.
Oh, this is gonna be fun.
And I've got, while you're searching, the combination of Bobby Webster and Masai Ujiri. Now, there's kind of an asterisk here. Because, for the exact reason we're talking about, they could go from Executives of the Year to Donkey of the Day in a heartbeat if, say, the Clippers robbed them of Kawhi and I've I've talked about how, for example, I would rather see the Lakers sign Kyle Lowry if he's in fact a free agent, like I'm hypothesizing or assuming, over, say, Kyrie Irving. And so if they were without Kawhi and without Kyle Lowry, they find themselves in a real shitty situation very quickly, and especially after trading away Valanciunas, which could be good or could be terrible. Which, so far, it looks like it's done them well to have Gasol. And I had Valanciunas on my fantasy team. He played great for Memphis, so I wasn't mad about that.
Okay. This one was the one I think I had the hardest time deciding on up until the buzzer.
Executive?
Yeah, executive, yes. Again, the jury was in consideration. A lot of people were in consideration. I went Sean Marks, man. Brooklyn Nets. You have to understand.
Okay.
Brooklyn did this without draft picks. They had a first-round draft pick in 5 years. Okay?
Yeah, no, Prokhorov or whatever his name was and Jay-Z.
Yeah.
When they got out, boy.
You want to talk about a mess behind? This was a mess.
That was a grease fire in a dumpster.
And they right now they're already right now a top 5, maybe even top 3 scouting team now, developmental team right now, because that's what they had to do in the last couple of years to stay competitive.
Well,
and
hats off. I mean, it doesn't hurt that they're in the East, especially in the year that LeBron moves away and stuff like that. But no, everything they've done in Brooklyn is nothing short of remarkable. Because I mean, that whole story, the move from New Jersey to Brooklyn, the building of a beautiful arena in the Barclays Center, was really on the verge of being a disaster.
Yeah. By the way, next year's his last year on the deal. I was correct.
Oh, okay. So they could lose Kawhi and still have at least 1 year of Pascal Siakam and Kyle Lowry and Marc Gasol potentially.
Right.
If Gasol's isn't expiring, and I'm not even going to begin to do the homework on that one
exactly.
right now.
Kyle Lowry might be a trade chip to a contender if Toronto somewhat slips next year. We'll see. I mean, obviously.
Yeah, especially as an expiring deal. Yeah. That could be interesting.
Right. All right, Coach of the Year.
Coach of the Year. Who do you want to go first? Or you want me to go?
I'll go. I got Bud. Coach Bud again. Budenholzer. Milwaukee.
Okay.
Again.
Okay.
This team was a 7 seed last year. Same team intact, pretty much. Add the coach in. All of a sudden, you win 6-1 games. Best record in the NBA. Yeah, that's a big deal.
I went. Well, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that pick, and I think that is. Yeah, what he's doing up there is great, and I mean, frankly, they talk about him as should he be somebody that the Lakers go after when they fire Luke Walton, because that's been the when has not if but when has been the party line on the radio here for about 2 months. But I went with a guy who perennially manages to put something together that's greater than the sum of its parts, overcome massive challenges, and still have winning seasons, and that's Nate McMillan in Indiana.
That was my number 2 choice. That was the only person I was considering actually beyond Bud. Ultimately, the 61 wins is a big deal.
He's done this in Portland, and he got, in my opinion, unfairly canned. He got done dirty up there. And now he's doing it again after losing Victor Oladipo to an absolutely devastating
early. And by the way, lost Oladipo early in the year, not like late. Early in the year.
Yeah. And I mean, Oladipo was. I mean, the little bit that we saw. I mean, he was playing his ass off. He was on pace to have an incredible year.
Yep.
So no, Nate McMillan is my pick for Coach of the Year. That guy consistently. His record doesn't add up to the sum of his talent.
The other 2 guys I would have considered also besides McMillan and Bud was Doc Rivers and Kenny Atkinson in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about Philly?
What about Philly?
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I question whether he's
is that a talent thing, a coaching thing, or is that just his Joel? Freak.
Next question. Okay. No. Brett Brown? No. No. Next one. Next question. No.
I'll cry.
He's not
All
bad,
right.
but no. All right.
Okay.
Finally, last award
MVP.
here. Most valuable player, the big one. Who'd you take this year, man?
KD.
You went KD?
Yep, 100%.
Wow.
Because he's the best. He's the best goddamn player in the league, and it's not close right now.
No,
and while Harden was like, yeah, he's what Harden is, and like he did all those things with that, and his defensive game did improve, and Giannis is making the case for the best two-way player in the league. At the end of the day, God damn it, I did it again! I kind of like, I'm going to write that on the wall and say, don't say this. But no, at the end of the season, when it's all said and done, KD is still the best basketball player in the league, despite all the problems that the Warriors had early on. They're playing their asses off. And by the time June 15th rolls around and they're hoisting their fourth championship in 5 years, he's going to be the Finals MVP again.
That's a gutsy pick, man.
Unless Steph Curry absolutely just shoots his ass off.
You have a lot of balls to say that one. He wasn't even in consideration for me, dude. He wasn't even in my top 4.
I know he wasn't. I did that. I almost did it on purpose just to kind of like poke at you and see what you were going to say.
Well, yeah, it worked.
The more I thought about it, it's the same thing that like LeBron has been the MVP the last 10 years.
Well, you'll see
shit who you want to give the trophy to.
Right.
You know?
But at the end of the day, you'll
or 7 years.
Now you got me saying that shit now. At the end of the day, I want Giannis, obviously, but my point with KD.
And honestly, who is realistically going to be considered by the writers and has a decent chance of winning the trophy? 100% Giannis. And if Harden, really upset.
Or James Harden. I mean, what he did this year turned that year around without Chris Paul, too, especially as well, and Eric Gordon being out, and so the season around went from being number 12 in the West to they were they could be number 2, but 2 days ago until they lost the last game to OKC. But I want Giannis.
Yeah, but yes, like his defensive numbers have improved, but the fact that and this is me just being a Kobe guy, but like the whole thing, 30-point game streak and all this other crap, these records that he beat at Kobe's. Yeah, Kobe was NBA all-first team defense too when he did it. So
yeah, that's true. Although I will say Harden won, he also.
And I think Kobe was NBA all-first team defense like 7 or 8 times.
I'm just saying that James Harden, the Rockets won 50-plus games too as well, on top of everything else. So I mean that's
no, they did, and I think they're going to get exposed in the playoffs. Either somebody is going to surprise them and beat them who we didn't expect to. Somebody like Sacramento is going to step up and just play their ass off in the series and shock them. Kind of like Memphis did that one time when it was like the 8 upsetting the 1 on San Antonio.
Well, they draw Utah first round. You never know.
Utah. Okay. So no, but that's exactly the kind of team that could like stylistically kick them in the dick and end their season in the first round.
We'll see. We'll have predictions in a little bit.
Otherwise they're as the sort of prohibitive second best team in the West. They're going to run into Golden State and get sent home.
All right.
Because Golden State.
Let's get to finish the awards here. NBA first team. Who do you have? Guards, forwards, and centers. Go.
Steph, Clay, KD, Paul George, Embiid.
You have Clay ahead of Harden still?
100%.
That's ridiculous.
I got Harden on my second team.
You have Steph,
and
Clay,
on my
KD,
team.
Paul George, and who else?
If I would... Steph, Clay, KD, Paul George, and Joel Embiid.
Okay. I'm with you on Paul George. I'm with you on Embiid. That's it. I have Damian Lillard there. I have James
I got
Harden.
Damian Lillard as my second team.
Okay. I have Damian Lillard, James Harden, Giannis, Paul George, and Joel Embiid. Notice Durant's not there either. Notice that.
Okay. So you and I basically swapped first and second teams.
Right. Second team. Who do you have second team?
My second team is Dame, Harden, LeBron, Giannis, AD.
You have Dame,
James Harden, LeBron, Giannis, Anthony Davis.
How can you have Giannis so low? Oh my God!
only because
I don't understand that.
I think Giannis has the higher ceiling. But, like, right now in this moment, Paul George is, like, a little bit old man strong. And it's like, we know Giannis is just, like, he's right there. And he's probably a little more talented than Paul. But Paul's just enough, like, wily smart right now. And next year, I think that flip-flops and it's not close.
Well, here's my second team real quick. Totally from yours.
But in fairness, given the disaster that Russell Westbrook's offensive production was as a whole this season, despite almost averaging a triple-double again.
He did average a triple. He did average. He did get it.
Oh, he did average a triple-double again. Great. And he shot like 22% in the process throughout the freaking nations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when you consider how good Oklahoma City did, despite all of that, that's where I give Paul George just that little nod over Giannis there, because I feel like Giannis had a bit more help.
Whew, okay. Well,
he didn't have people pulling 100% the opposite direction.
Don't gotta sell me Paul George. He's in my first team as well. So here's my second team real quick. Though. My second team right here: Steph Curry, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, and Nikola Jokic.
You know, now that we're like just hashing it out, I would replace AD with Jokic.
Okay.
And move and then my who I ultimately picked on my third team will get replaced by AD and get honorable mention.
Okay, who was that at the time?
Vucevic. Nikola Vucevic.
That's not bad, actually. I wouldn't have got him there, but that's not bad. Third team was tough, to be honest. Go ahead, third team. Who's third team?
Yeah, because, I mean, really, at the center position and third team, having now, you know, unanimously decided that Jokic is the second team, whether you say Anthony Davis, Karl Anthony Towns, Yusuf Nurkic, or Vucevic, I don't think you could be wrong on NBA third team.
Third team's hard. Third team's really hard.
And I imagine you picked one of those four.
Mm-hmm.
But my NBA third team was Kyrie Irving, Lou Williams, Luka Doncic, Kawhi Leonard, and it was Vucevic. But now, as we're doing this on the fly, it's AD and Vucevic gets honorable mention.
You took a lot of chances here, man. I have to respect that, dude. I don't know. I mean, a lot of chances on this one. My third team: Russell Westbrook, Klay Thompson, Blake Griffin, LeBron James, who I considered not putting in there, but I had no reason not to put him in there because it's individual.
No, I mean he's groin injury notwithstanding, he LeBron'd all season.
Yeah, and my center was Rudy Gobert.
You know, LeBron do LeBron things.
Yeah, I mean again, he did just typical numbers. And Rudy Gobert
averaged
center.
28 points and 12 rebounds or whatever it was, and 6 assists or something.
Yeah, Rudy Gobert is my center. I consider putting Karl Anthony Towns there too, but I don't know. I want to reward Rudy Gobert, especially with the team turning around. That team turned around after same like Houston starting slow. So did Utah, and Utah somehow got 51 wins this year.
Yeah,
you know, and Gobert was the main reason why they got there. So, wow, I'm really shocked at your first, second, and third teams. Really, you really shocked me, buddy.
Well, okay, so I have a hard time not looking ahead to the playoffs and using that as sort of a bullshit filter for the stuff we see in the regular season. I have a really hard time really cool, like, Sports Center top 10 moments.
But this is
if I know someone's going to shit the bed by the second round of the playoffs anyway.
Problem is, though, these are regular season awards, though.
What's that?
The problem is these are regular season awards.
No, but I think there's as much to be said as, like, working through your process in ultimately propelling your team to a position. Like, and again, this comes right back to Steph, Katie, and Klay, is that they had some problems. Maybe they didn't anyone individually have their best, most earth-shattering season, but quietly they worked through their shit. They did all the things that Golden State did. And now, as we prepare to go into the playoffs, as the season officially closes out, there's absolutely nothing you can say to make a reasonable argument that they're not in the best position to win the championship.
Right.
And the three most influential forces in that reality are Steph, Katie, and Clay in varying proportions from day to day.
Makes sense. Okay.
So, like, when I look at it through that scope, I have a hard time going, oh, my God, James Harden's amazing, when he's going to be, like, home by Mother's Day. You know?
All right.
Okay, Memorial Day. Day.
All righty, let's do this now. Let's do the NBA playoffs predictions. Let's go to the East first. 1-8.
All right. I don't have the bracket right here in front of me.
I'll say right now, it's okay. I got Milwaukee Bucks.
First, I don't pick wrong.
Well, but we're only doing the first round, so it's not a big deal. I'll go to home bracket. It's the first round only. Milwaukee Bucks, 1 seed against the 8 seed, Detroit Pistons. I got the Bucks in 5 here.
Yep. Easy.
And maybe a sweep. I'm not sure who's. I mean, I can see it at 1 Detroit.
Depends on how high on their own supply they get between now and the end of the series. But 4 or 5.
I mean, Milwaukee has some injuries late in the year, so maybe that could be.
If it goes 6, Milwaukee dropped a number of balls.
Yeah, I agree. But the Bucks finished in 5 games.
They did some dumb shit along the way.
Yeah, they probably coasted. But that said, Bucks in 5. All right, number 2 Toronto Raptors against number 7 Orlando Magic. I went Toronto and also in 5. Although I'll be honest with you, I can see this going 6 games also. Orlando's been good basketball.
I could see, a bad Kawhi game, a really nice Nikola Vucevic game. Mm-hmm. I would put the over under on that series at 5.5 and dare someone to take the under.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the under ultimately, but it would not shock me if they go 6 games.
Yeah, so I'll split the over under with you and say 6.
Right. Okay. There you go.
It's a coin flip.
Absolutely. All right. 3-6 pits the Philadelphia 76ers against the Brooklyn Nets, the 6th seed. Word is Joel Embiid could miss a game or 2, and because of that fact, I'm going to take Philadelphia in 6 games.
If he misses 2, Brooklyn could steal the series.
It's possible. I've been saying it all year. I've been saying all year long. Philly has to me the most talented starting 5 in the Eastern Conference, but I do not trust them.
And
there's something about that mix of players: Jimmy Butler, Embiid, Tobias Harris. Something about that mix. I can't put my finger on it. I don't trust this yet.
Yeah, it feels like one of those things that works in a video game, but not in real life.
Exactly.
It works in NBA 2K, but when actual chemistry and ability to get along with one another comes into play, no, I would say again, raw talent, Philly in 6 or 7. Which probably softens them up for whoever they see in the next round to send them home. But if D'Angelo balls his ass off, Joel Embiid misses 2 games, and the volatility of Philadelphia comes home to roost, I could see Brooklyn stealing that one in 6.
Yeah, I don't know if I go that far. I can see it going to 7 games though, ultimately, but I think Philly is just too loaded on top. That's the only thing. But yeah, the Nets could definitely.
We'll see. But you know what? But here's the thing, though, is that becomes a much bigger problem in a 7-game series when you're playing the same team night in and night out.
Yeah.
The fact that your starting 5 is that much better than your bench.
Right.
That becomes a much bigger weakness in the playoffs than it does in the regular season.
Right. Okay, the last series here, it's the number 4 seed Boston Celtics and the 5 seed Indiana Pacers. I'm going Boston in 6. Indiana's tough, man.
Yeah. I think Boston in 6 is safe, but that's another one that same thing with Philly. Boston's got a lot of weird emotional shit going on, psychological shit going on in their locker room.
Yep.
And a team that has done it sort of like blue collar by the skin of their teeth all season that Indiana has, that could be another miracle team. And in 7, they could knock the Celtics out and solidify Kyrie's departure.
Boston should win this in 5 games, though. You know that, right? They should win it on paper in 5 or less.
Yeah, absolutely. There is no reason logically when you look at the roster of Boston and the roster of Indiana, there's no logical reason that Boston should be able to have to do this in more than 6.
Yeah,
but they've been a mess this year.
They've
been a mess.
Is there time to
Gordon Hayward has been painfully underproductive. Al Horford's been quietly, steady Eddie, but declining superstar. And Kyrie has been all over the map.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's go West.
Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are good, but did not take big leaps forward after awesome playoff runs last year.
Because of Kyrie, probably. Because of the mix, because of the ball.
I think that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
I don't imagine it's a lot of fun to go to work in Boston right now.
No, it's not.
Regardless of who you are or what your role or paycheck is on that squad.
I agree, 100%.
I don't imagine most guys are having fun at work.
Right. Okay, next one. Let's go to the West now. Number 1 seed Golden State Warriors against number 8 seed LA Clippers. I'm going to go Warriors in a sweep.
Yeah, I'll give the Clippers. The Clippers have been surprisingly gritty. Maybe they catch 2 of the superstars slipping one night.
No, not
I give them 5 games, but you're probably right.
No, I think Golden State. This is the time of year now. They coast all year long for this moment. Now they're gonna turn up now.
Well, and this has been their least just tearing through people kind of season. So that's the only reason I'd give the Clippers a game. But yeah, it's probably a sweep.
And when I say Warriors in 4, it's not disrespect to the Clippers. It's more to do with Golden State, how good they are, and what their narrative are.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, it's just that there's only 2 or 3 teams that really belong in a 7-game series with the Warriors in the entire league. Agreed.
Unbelievable. Yeah, I agree. All right, we got now the number 2 seeded Denver Nuggets against the number 7 seeded San Antonio Spurs. This is gonna be fun. This is a very low key, interesting series.
I think Denver in 6. It should be 5, but it's probably 6 because San Antonio. I'm
actually taking Denver in 7. I think Pop can coach the team to 7 games.
You're going one step further on the same argument I'm making.
Yeah.
Denver. So you'd say Denver's more talented, but San Antonio is San Antonio.
San Antonio, they got Pop, and they can probably steal a couple games here and there. And
they win. They play long into the spring. That's just what they do.
That's what they do.
They make chimichangas and play in May.
Right. All right. The 3 seeded Portland Trailblazers. Oh, by the way, I gotta say off the record, sidebar real quick. They won 3 games this year again. I mean, this team just continues to be under the radar every season.
Yeah, but they also had usurped Nurkic most of the year.
Yeah, that's true. Against the Oklahoma City Thunder, the 6th seed, and you just mentioned Nurkic, and because of that fact, I'm taking the Thunder in 6.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Portland, if Portland had Nurkic, I would be picking them to upset the Thunder in 5 or 6. I think they would come out and punch him in the mouth and demonstrate exactly what you've just said about who Portland is as an identity, as a squad the last couple of years. Whichever Plumlee it is that they have, Miles or Mason, I forget. He is great off the bench. I mean, he's not a starter. He's not a star, and behind Nurkic, he didn't have to be. Portland's a badass team. OKC has way more questions than answers outside of Steven Adams and Paul George. So, yeah, I give a Nurkic-less Portland goes to OKC in 6.
Yeah, definitely.
And then whoever OKC sees next probably sweeps them.
Of course, which will be probably winner. It will be the winner of the Denver San Antonio series. All right. Finally, this series is gonna be really fun to watch. This is a rematch of last year's second round series. The Houston Rockets, the 4 seed, against the 5 seeded Utah Jazz. Utah's playing some good basketball the last couple months. That being said,
it should be Houston in 6. But if somebody looks at Chris Paul cross-eyed and he misses more than a few minutes, that whole system goes to shit.
Oh, no doubt about that. No doubt about that.
And so I would not be surprised to see Utah steal this in as few as 6. But realistically, it's probably Houston in 6 or 7.
I got Houston in 7 games. I think Houston has a better top level talent in Harden and CP3 and Capella. But again, I'm with you.
Again,
Utah,
Chris Paul is one like half a roll of an ankle, one weird elbow or knee collision, and that series is over in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Because without him, they just can't play playoff basketball.
Now, if we use last,
like Kobe and T-Mac were saying, you can't do what James Harden did all year in the playoffs and win. It just doesn't work like that.
Well, he's not
going to get enough of those calls to get to the line 30 times.
If you use last year's, they're
going to let the defense slap him around.
Yeah. If you use last year's matchup though in the second round, Houston won that series in 5 games against Utah.
Well,
but again,
to me, the spirit of Jerry Sloan still haunts those locker rooms, and to me, that's the kind of whiteboard material that can be very dangerous for a squad like Houston.
I agree.
It's not as talented as they were last year.
I agree, 100%. And I got them in 7 games. I think they'll still get, and then what's up that Golden State Houston second round series. So it should be fun. It's gonna be a fun playoffs, man. I can't wait.
Although they didn't make a complete ass of me at my beginning of the season prediction. My hot take was that they were going to be significantly diminished over last year, and I would say going into the playoffs as a 4 seed is not great for them.
Well, you were correct the first few months, so you can't say.
Yeah, they looked like shit until Chris Paul and Clint Capella came back.
Anyway.
But no, I think it's going to be a fun playoffs. For as predictable as everything appears to be tonight, I think it's still going to be really exciting. And there are a few postseasons that rival, like top to bottom. NBA playoffs are great. I still think the championship series and the World Series is still to me the greatest event in postseason stuff.
Right.
But top to bottom as a tournament goes, NBA games are just freaking awesome.
That's right, man.
So we win no matter what happens or how bad our predictions miss.
I'm gonna get my wings and fries and all that ready to go early in the morning on Saturday.
Oh, there you go.
Ready to go. I
have Wingstop on speed dial.
Hell yeah, cannot wait for that.
You deliver to this house first, guys. Come on.
By the way, everybody's talking about during the year. Oh, LeBron! Well, the playoffs like LeBron is gonna be bad. It's gonna be terrible. To be honest with you, I'm looking forward to it.
I think Nike's pretty upset, and I think the guys who have to sell ads to foreign countries are pretty upset.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I think the product that we're going to get this year is going to be in no way, shape, or form diminished without LeBron.
No, a lot of new blood in there.
I mean, I'm pissed as a Lakers fan that he's not playing in the postseason.
Of course.
But no, I don't think the playoffs are going to be markedly worse than they were last year without LeBron James.
I think the East playoffs gonna be fun to watch. To be honest with you, the East, especially the East. Woo! Cannot wait.
I think it's going to be really exciting because again, there's a lot of weird shit there, hanging over kind of Philly and Boston, and then Orlando had a kind of sneaky nice season that nobody really knows what they are because nobody covers them.
Right.
So no, it's gonna be fun as hell. Hell, Orlando's right up the street. Orlando's 3 hours from you, and you don't even know what the hell's going on there.
Yeah. So anyway, Mark, we'll talk again soon. We'll talk. I'm sure next time we'll talk about politics and maybe.
Oh man, yeah, we got some stuff to get into, and we got to do some baseball real soon.
Oh, absolutely.
Now that the Lakers season is abysmally over, we gotta start just going right into baseball.
Yeah, heat season's over too. I'm in Met mode now, so.
Oh yeah.
Playing good baseball, though.
Let's go.
Playing good ball.